Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. Not just a good guy, a great guy. I look forward to our weekly visits. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. Mike, the Buffalo Bills. It was going so well. They have now dropped 2 straight games. They are now looking up at the New England Patriots for first place in the AFC East division. What's the situation in Western New York right now, Mike? What's the panic situation?
Life comes at you fast in the NFL, and it certainly has for the Buffalo Bills, Jay. 2 straight losses with the surging Patriots. Now, technically in first place, they've got the first half of that head-to-head tiebreaker. Look, the Bills are extremely banged up right now. They are heading into the bye week, so there's a feeling of let's get healthy. A lot of teams are in this, by the way, same ballpark as the Bills on this one. Certainly the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC as well. But the Bills certainly feel like they have been banged up. Got to get some of these defensive players healthy. Ed Oliver finally returned. Still not quite what we saw from week 1. So maybe another week of rest will help him be that destructive guy up front that he was week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see. But there is some stuff that needs to be figured out on offense as well. And I would not be surprised to see the Buffalo Bills once again in the trade market potentially for a wide receiver. They need some help there. Keon Coleman really hasn't developed, not nearly as quickly as they thought he would. Khalil Shakir has been fantastic, but you need some depth at that receiver position. They just don't have it right now. And then you don't have Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, the other night. You're really in dire straits as an offense. Not even Josh Allen, who likes to play what they call up in Buffalo hero ball, which, by the way, sometimes they deem a negative thing. They don't want him to do too much. He had to try to do everything he possibly could the other night, and he just couldn't. You need targets around this guy. So I do believe we're going to see the Bills be active in the next couple of weeks. But beyond just adding a piece or two when it comes to the trade deadline, there are some things that need to be figured out on both sides of the ball for this team. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, I'm going to talk about him in just a second as a head coaching candidate, but they've got to get back going offensively. We'll see if they can.
All right. Speaking of head coaches, the first one was fired last week, Brian Callahan.
Yep.
4-19 with the Tennessee Titans over the past few seasons, so it wasn't a huge surprise. Mike McCoy takes over on an interim basis. You mentioned Joe Brady. Is that one of the names that the Titans have in mind as a potential future permanent head coach, Mike?
Brady's going to be at the top of any list, Jay, this upcoming offseason, because I do expect, much as the Bills are struggling right now, they're going to do well, and certainly he has already made his stamp as a head coaching candidate to watch this upcoming offseason. But the Titans really haven't matched. It's like they fire the coach, they hire the GM, then they fire the GM. And, like they just haven't had synergy there. And a lot of times when you see that in the NFL, what they do is say, okay, let's try to match that up now. And I think that that's what you're going to see from the Titans. So that brings in a couple of possibilities. Mike Borgonzi, the new general manager, he was with Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs. Nagy already a one-time coach. Wouldn't be surprised to see Nagy in the mix for this job eventually. And then there's Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was the coordinator of the Titans before he got the job in Atlanta. He reset himself really over the last year plus as a head coaching candidate. I expect him to be in the mix as well. These are going to be wide-ranging searches, particularly when you start this early. This allows you to, if you wanted to at this point, interview a guy who's not employed right now. So they could interview Mike McCarthy, let's say, at some point. I think McCarthy would be a guy that should be on a sideline in the 2026 again. So it's a long process. They started early. Maybe a little too early, but you got Mike Vrabel coming in this weekend, a guy that never should have been fired in the first place to potentially show you up. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, man, that's tough for Titans fans. Well, speaking of fans, I asked you if the sky was falling in Philadelphia after their first loss of the season on our segment last week. Well, they lost again, Mike, as you know, and this time to a division rival. But what I do know about the fans, the sports fans in Philly, no matter the sport, they're calm, they're rational, they're certainly not panicking. So I'm sure they're taking this in stride, right, Mike?
We're going to talk. We like to vary the topics, but a lot's changed since I last talked to you about the Eagles. They lost to the Giants. This offense continues to have bad body language amongst the players. And A.J. Brown, after the game, a weird session at his postgame locker where he tried to say that there was no meeting between him and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. And then the next day he said, no, the reason I said that is it wasn't a formal sit-down. It doesn't matter. These guys are not on the same page. They've got to get on the same page. My understanding was this last weekend, which was a mini bye, which you get after the Thursday game, the coaches, the players, everybody was like, let's just get away. Like, we got to get away. and reset, because there had been so much angst, even when they were winning early in the season, because people were saying, well, this team is not winning in the right way. They're not doing the right things. It's going to catch up to them. And guess what? It did. So this offense, a lot of times when they struggle in Philadelphia, the P word comes up, Jay. The P word is predictable. Oh, this offense is too predictable. It's such a basic thing to say, and really it doesn't get to the true crux of the problem. And the crux of the problem is they're not executing, because this offensive line is not what it was last year, because they lost Mekhi Becton. They've got a lot of injuries up front. Even the guys who are technically healthy, like Lane Johnson, are banged up. Jordan Mailata, the left tackle, is not playing like he was. If your offensive line is not blocking, you can't get stuff done. And guess what, Jay? They were predictable last year. They were running basic zone reads, and Saquon Barkley was taking them to the house. They were saying to teams, you know what we're going to do. We know you know what we're going to do, and you're still not going to be able to stop it. They can't do that with the offensive line the way it is right now. So this team's got to fix a lot of issues: chemistry, health, scheme, execution. There's a lot of things going on more than just a predictable offense right now.
Mike, this has been a terrific segment, and I didn't even get to mention off the top, you are back in your regular home studio, and I got to say, it looks terrific, buddy.
Yeah, just this little sliver. We don't want to pan the camera that way, because you're going to see the rest of the house really isn't finished at this point. But we're doing what we can. We're back in. We're excited to be here. We're going to probably arrange some stuff here. Like, you don't see either of your books up there.
Yes.
That's going to change.
Yes.
Might be, I don't know, a signed 8x10 photo, if you've got one of those. That could go up there. We are missing a lot of Jay, and we would love to have a lot of Jay.
And you'll get a lot of Jay, because if there's one thing I have a lot of, it's signed 8x10 photos that have gone unclaimed.